Greetings, this is F.R.I.D.A Reamentra, and I welcome you to my review of the Four-Sided Dive episode 13, Long Distance Relationship. Just a quick side note, I usually like to make these in order of when they come out, how, but however that includes also the relationship to when they come out with main series episode, like the main campaign episodes. Well, this one tech actually came out between Famine and Faith and Crisis of Faith. So this, so when last we have, when last the people who are when last on the cast of this particular force, Laura, Ashley, Liam, and Marsha knew of the last thing in campaign was the start of the assault on the temple. I didn't since this came out a lot earlier than it should have. So, or at least I think it did. So there's like only there's only like two campaign episodes between this and the last Force I Dive. So that's why this is coming out later. I didn't realize there was already a 13 out. Anyway, as I said before, or we have Laura, Liam, Ashley, and Marsha. And I think specifically chosen because, well, they are the closest members of Bell's House. Like, they're pairing wise, even if it's not strictly romantic. Let's see. Lana and Jen have been traveling together way before Bell's House. Same with Horm and Fern, or who were both crown keepers before Bell's House. And Ora has reported on multiple occasions slept in the crook of her legs or something like that. Okay, I think they're trying to structure this something like a book club fashion or something. There is a reference to the Matt trying to sell 20 Mac computers like he has or something, which we later do get referenced in one of Sam's ads. Um, anyway, let's see. They uh, for the third time in uh, and uh, and after the rollout uh, for the Tavern Keeper, Ashley becomes Tavern Keeper, making her the most recurring Tavern Keeper all time. I'm having three stints as it. It's early in the morning. I would have recorded this immediately after I watched, but it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. So these episodes are generally shorter than a quick campaign thing. Yet I get so many more notes because there's less just um general talking about and stuff, and things cause there's more things of consequence based on the show. Oh, they perform a little treasure hunt around to get the prompts for actually they have to perform a little treasure hunt around the studio to get the prompts before the intro can play. And then we get to our first segment. What the frick is up with that? Yes, I know that's not the correct thing, but I'm very for conscience. Um, they talk about their first impressions versus Liam. Go when when their characters arrive at the town of Harstwell, and it feels so impressive stuff. Like once they get to that meeting, it's kind of indicates that some of these people here aren't being less than holy. One one person said, "The next time one of them touches my wife," and like even if that only means that they're trying to get her to stop doing something, then like it's probably something to do with worship, the way they worship, and it's still religious oppression. Like, anyways, after conversing with Danny, they do point out like this temple is relatively recent addition to the town. They basically paid a wealthy family and stuff to have a temple built there, like so that in a way that the townsfolk couldn't object. Like like by town laws, they legally got that land. Uh, uh, and they also were kind of surprised about like elder about Elder Adine. Uh, Dean, they expected her to be like this hippie, sagely old thing who will just help them and stuff. No, she seems a little bloodthirsty. She is like a firebrand revolutionary. Honestly, she's like I don't think with her. I don't think I've ever seen anyone give off a sort of like me personally. I never seen any D&D a character or NPC who gave off such a hag-like vibe without actually being a hag. Like she's clearly described as being like a half giant, not so. And that basically instead of just like helping, he said, I do okay, but you have to do something for me for like it was more like a business transaction. They thing how she won't seems like she wants to murder every priest and stuff like and stuff. Well, we now know she's not as bloodthirsty as she was originally we originally thought were because like I said, quite in Crisis of Faith, which hadn't come out yet, we did see she showed mercy after the battles. She just wanted them out out of her town, and they also discuss how often the characters on team actually asked Marisha and Liam, whose characters are part of Team Isora, if their characters how much their characters are thinking about Team Wildmount. Marisha as every day, basically, uh, uh, Londa and Imogen are just that so close and stuff. Like, of course, she's not going. And said states that for he used to for the first couple of weeks, but then he stopped, and it's like even in even when we're up to past it on like even when we got up to the most recent episode of the campaign I reviewed, a long walk of reflection. I don't think if I do the math right, it's even been a full week. It's just short of a full week. So I think they're getting their timeline a little crossed. I mean, at this point, they've only been really separated 3 days. Even if you say that they don't actually know how much time has passed since the thing, they don't know if they were unconscious for how long they were unconscious for, or if they tested. But for them, it'd still only be a few days. He's, they start talking about what are these Adons? Adons? Uh, like the spirits of wild stuff. Liam mentioned how he's getting a very from them a very Princess Mononoke style, sort of like a feel of them. Uh, okay. Marisha says that Lana sort of does have a bit of trust for them. She feels like they're neutral, and that's some they have less of a overarching agenda, something like. They mentioned how the group is just trying to get out there and get back to their friends at this point. One thing they point out stuff is like throughout this is like the objective of Team Sora right now is just regrouping with the rest of Bell's Hells stuff. Regardless of what their thoughts of the gods are, and the fact that the world could be coming to an end. Uh Well, at this point, it's too. The only thing they can really do is try to regroup. Mm. Oh yes, here. uh, They talk about their all the guest characters, like guest players they have. Like they like between the two groups, there are 5 guest players. Half of Team Asura is guest players. Uh, Laura and Ashley both love playing with Abria stuff and Christian. This is their first time ever playing with Christian, and they kind of admire how well he just jumps right into it. Oh, by the way, I'm sorry for any technical difficulties. I'm gonna have some. Whereas before, my webcam was just frozen, like a certain image and stuff. It wouldn't change. Now it's showing no image. Yeah. And Abria also mentioned how Abria already knows those Ashley's type of playstyle, being the DM for the Exandria Unlimited campaign. Like Exandria Unlimited, like the first two specials were her was like her play, DMing the Crown Keepers, including Fern. So it knows how to play out the last and stuff. Oh, then Marisha talks about playing with their guest characters. I'm going to probably butcher the name here. Uh, uh, Akash, Amy, and Emily, saying how they kind of knocked their character descriptions out of the park. Like they sort of have these like wild, very wild things and stuff. I'm still shocked for Akasha's character Border. We have not heard any Bruno jokes because seriously, he looks very like a better looking, clean shaven version of Bruno from Encanto. That's my personal thoughts. Uh, like for instance, Amy described Denise as basically a woman in a male-dominated field who's trying to push in, her femininity and stuff, and stuff. Though I know it's like as a character that's the field stuff, but I just realized I don't. Uh, well, we sort of know that she's a hairdresser, like she's a hairstyler, but that's not a male dominated. That's not really male dominated. Like at most, like 50, maybe sometimes more leaning toward female, to what I've seen. So in real life, so I guess that's maybe just a side thing, or maybe just a hobby of hers. We actually don't know as a character, or uh, the character of Denise, like what's her officially is her vocation, what she does. They talk about they talk about Emily's uh, is making a very like emo girl and stuff, and you know, And even later on, we introduce describe her as trying to be one who really wants to make a difference and stuff, but kind of gets pushed aside and stuff. Like she's just saying, they do point out how much of a ringer she is, like her uses of spells and stuff, like using enlarge on the fish they're eating to make a bigger meat, an actual meal, or at least a snack so big enough for all of them to snack on it. Like also enlarging the well, technically they wouldn't be describing that yet, but basically, well, they really only describing mainly what she did in the battle against those the Shambling Mounds and the Corpse Flower. They describe how Bordor or has a it was actually very like if you see his art, they mention how when you see his art, it's actually more attractive than the attractive makes him out to be. I, I mean, Utkarsh makes him out to be. There, they once here they talk about like more about like Amy's being how creative she get, how she's so maybe too powerful with her. Like from her narrative telephone, Liam felt like he was watching some sort of sorcery film. Like, what is that popping up? That would have been out for a couple of weeks now. Anyway, they talk about more about the dagger, like her niece is his ex and stuff, and apparently Marisha did talk like it was like Liam. I remember was described as like how like when they dropped the name in conversation. Liam was like, then after a moment he was like, wait, what? Did you hear that right? Stuff uh, stuff and let's see. They do point. Marisha does add, like she talked to Matt and about the fact that one of the player is his character's ex and stuff. He said, and his response is, "She could do better." Mm-hmm. And they mentioned they just also start. This is just them just spinning different things, ideas around, and talk about them. So in this section, so well, and the next thing that comes up is how they kind of not only do their characters miss the party is split, and not only do their characters actually miss the missing half, but they as players are kind of miss playing with the other half of the cast. Like Ashley seems to says she's more okay with it. They do like enjoy playing with the new people though, and it's gonna be it will still be hard for them once they regroup because with so many people at the table, then they'll have to say goodbye to the guest characters. Yeah, like once the once the party joins, it's like maybe they get like most of an episode with the additional characters at the table, but that's overcrowded, and there's only so much people you can fit on one screen. If you want just to actually watch this, keep in mind I have a link in the description. And let's. Oh yes, I do mentioned how like they're like what's gonna start discussing what's gonna happen with the team well now because right before we started switch to Team Isilra, Team Wildbell teleported to Marquette, specifically a what was it called the where they originally started, and yeah, basically she rolled like a 5 or like a 2 or something when teleporting, which is very bad. Like for all we know, this might delay the reunion, like because this could teleport them to someplace completely different. Yeah, the one about I think the one who is like would probably be like they do say like as a back that they'll miss the characters, but they do know that they won't be able to have everyone just keep playing with them because especially Marissa who is like helps produce this like a 12 people stuff like 12 person cast. A what do that also these are all like around the mid level like 12 mid levels. What do you throw at them now? There. Oh, they talk about Matt being the goat of sound effects, like greatest of all time. Like, and they also start discussing. Yeah, it's specifically they like, about how he's the greatest of all time. I am about the goat noises themselves, like the actual goats in the story. Actually, I'm not sure they actually use the greatest all time things to do, but I think he's earned it. But his performance as a goat, like specifically F.C.G's goat, what was it name? What was his Fabio? I forget. Like so, and then they asked the question like, what's their favorite Matt sound effects? Marissa's was like the sound of like a fork hitting the table. Ding! Like it's just like the little things. Like Liam, it's like sound like when he does like a uncorking a glass bottle. Um, well, Laura's like just him like having sound like a door slowly opening or opening. Oh, that's what Ashley's was. Ashley's was him just like this, the him like sounding out someone writing. They Liam and Marissa start talking about like what their expectations for what Team Lasilla will be doing, like especially having new with these new characters. And Marissa is a little worried that it's just sheer chaos. Make turn devolve diverge into sheer chaos. Mm, stuff and mm. They're still trying to strike. It's fun to play with the guest characters, but they're still trying to strike a balance. And they want. And they also start talking about like how many are is it specific people who were who heard Luna's talking stuff were what caused the people who were, were teleported to be teleported like I we know that we they always suspect that is because those who were teleported were at nexus points, but not every person at a nexus point was teleported. So we think so. And then yes, and then they start to talk about wondering about their past characters who had their reappearances. Are they okay and stuff like? Unless we checked, uh, like Keyleth and that specifically Vax. Vax got turned into a freaking disc, like small disc and stuff. Keyleth was out and stuff, and they also think, and not to mention Bo and Caleb were captured. It was interesting thing. Three of like for Liam and Marissa both had like basically three characters on the same map. Also, Lena needs Keelth to be okay because of and somewhere. I'm not sure if it's just like the fact that his current character is like is supposed to be protecting her and doesn't want him to like if he gets confirmation of death how it's feel. But also, his past character, Vax, Vax was in love with her. He specifically came back, like so, in a way, came back from the dead specifically to protect her during this fight. Well, Ashley sort of needs Bo to be equipped. Okay, I think just because how she enjoys it. They also talk about what I think wondering if like what exactly is it was his exercise, not just now that he's an orb stuff, but also like he's a champion of Rim Creek. Does that make they mentioned like he's providing the sliver of divinity for this for the Lasky to work, but was they kind of wondering what I mean like is he actually considered a god himself now or so? I don't think so. I think it's more like he's like a you consider him more like a demigod or well, not quite demigod because I think it because in D&D a demigod is specifically a just a lesser deity. Not it's not not like a half god, but they're full gods, just not as powerful. Uh, let's see. And they sort of end the segment with a well actually first they do talk about how Vax might have been the real key to making Luba's plan work. With Danny making sort of a interesting gesture referring to Leah being the key. And though I won't make it because even if I had a webcam on, and then the section would talk about how they kind of want a to make their own custom pinball machine for like a critical role theme. And, and then we get to Tower of Inquiry questions, which get with a increasingly more precarious Tower of Inquiry. They talk about like first question, number they pull number 47. Basically, ask them if they had to make new gods for what would they do. I think a lot of them just elevated certain characters they in the story to godhood. Like first one they was Liam would elevate the vaccine to like the gods of secrecy and techno codes. Basically, he'd be a techno god. Ashley would either elevate her own character Fern or Fern into a god of chaos and just general silliness, which Lord did point out always been filled like by what's his name by Artigan the Traveler. And they said, well, they point out he's just an archer. But he was being worshipped for a time. Like at this point, if they were to one of them were to be elevated to that status, since he did his best to uh, convert his followers into Moonweaver followers. and so uh, stuff. Which is a good thing because if they were to, you can't have two gods of the exact same thing. Like you can have variations of what they have stuff. Like in traditional D&D, I think there could be like gods of similar things, or maybe almost the same thing, as long as they're on different pantheons, like different races worship, like they're worshipped by different races. It, but when overlapped, it's usually then like a survival physics, and one will absorb the other. So, uh, uh, also, I think they would uh, 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 for Fern actually said that in place of a god of chaos and stuff, because the traveler sort of was filling that role. Well, she would make Fern a god of animals. Like, well, Mother was is like nature in general. Like, she's specifically animals and stuff. Oh, and Mer- Mercer would have the elevate the Ruby of the Sea. Like, I think they originally the question meant to be like make a character from like a god from scratch, not just like elevate. But oh well. And Mercer would elevate the Ruby of the Sea to the goddess of Burlesque. You know, I actually don't know what that meant. Right? Sensuality and drag queens. We'll spend our time talking about like how the traveler being god of chaos and never actually gave who she would. So I guess she would actually elevate him to make him a true god, not just afraid being worshipped like a pseudo god. Yeah, that's the term, pseudo. Yes. Next question. If you're wondering who pulls them, I won't. I won't. The only time I'll really mention that is if they get the penalty. As you know, when they pull it's a Jenga tower. If they pull it and the tower falls, they get a penalty for when they do the end of episode game of whatever it is. Oh, also, oh wait, sorry, wait a second. They also described her. More about the god. I think Marisha. I'm looking at both the wiki and my own notes, and I add stuff and Richard would also make the Ruby goddess of cakes too, in whatever form, but in all senses, I think. And Fern would also be a god of thieves and stuff like. Though that would probably make her one of the betrayers. Oh no, wait, it wasn't. Wait, no, wait. So, I got it wrong. I remember there being something about God of Animals stuff. It wasn't. It wasn't. Ashley saying that she would make like Grandma Mori or like Nana Mori or Fern the God. She would have. It was Danny saying she would elevate Godric, Goldric to God of Animals. You know, the wolf from the first campaign. Who was the partner of the champion, the previous Raven Queen champion. Next up is what would be what's the favorite part of your characters? For for Laura, her favorite part of Imogen is her lightning. Ugh, the screen's in front of you. You can read it right there on screen. And being a like full cast or like she's like just a full cast in her, for Laud. Marisha's favorite thing about Laudna is her optimism. Her umbrella optimism. I think they. When I think it's not. Oh wait, seriously, it wasn't that. For the Imogen is a full. It's like how she role plays the magic. Like she doesn't just make. Sometimes like she first flew, they thought like what class feature that? And no, she just cast the fly. She just now has the fly spell now. But the way she pulled it off, like it just made it seem like she's not actually casting what she's casting. Like which is very synonymous with what sorcerers do. Like this specifically a class feat where you use sorcery points to do that. Gives them the prejudice that the it gives the impression that the magic is truly part of them. For Liam, it's the fact that Orm has a kind heart and that he has some of the best sword play in the series, like what he does with his sword abilities. For Ashley, it's that Fern is very good at pushing buttons and stuff. Also, though she just knows that we probably wouldn't have seen this, like since you over, right? Mentions how Fern does actually have a tail, which wiggles when she gets starts getting mischievous thoughts. Like, and then they get into small details about their characters that no one knows and stuff. And and they sort of mentioned how we already got this with Fern because she has a tail under her dress. Kind of there's a little wiggle and stuff. Like we even see it in her body part. Like you see her do a little squirm, I guess. And we imagine that that's her when her tail's wiggling. And Oram seems to try to fill in the rest of his backstory. And though everything about him, though it actually seems to be more about the people in Oram's backstory more than Orm himself. Orm's mother is a midwife. And they mentioned how Derek and Nell, I forget who those. Actually, you know what? Oh, no. Scroll. Oh, actually, wait. Wait, is this. Wait, this was his character from the Darren's. The Percy Vex wedding. Oh, I did not catch this before. I did not catch this. My mind just got blown. Apparently, there not only was there, so Orm's father-in-law, his dead husband Will, who also died with him, is his character from the. I did not catch that on that stuff. Well, he mentions how they also, along with Will, they had triplet daughters. They mentioned how his wife Nell was a herbalist. Well, and one of the triplet girl, one of the triplets, either Maeve or Ber- Bernie, Ber- Bernie. Hey, well, one worked with Nell as a herbalist assistant or something like that, while the other was a full druid. Well, the final one was a is now a templates blades and is specifically is taking the place of either Will Derrick or while he's away. I did not know that. Oh, I did not catch that. I did not remember. Like he was just like a one shot character. So anyway, oh well. Getting back to the review, Lana did briefly have a friend before Imogen. Like after she was like necrotically revived by Delilah, but before Imogen, there was a friend who was like this little girl and stuff. But she's keeping any more deals on secret, so there might be more significance to this in her backstory. Like they did mention how it's sort of like little girl from Frankenstein vibe. I'm hoping it's more young Frankenstein. Oh, they talk about how like after being with Lotto out, they were able to figure out how to block people out. Like with her, she can constantly scan people with this, but there's sensory overload with her ability to read minds, and so she was able to block them out. However, she does mention how that this is like consciously blocks it out or subconsciously, but when she gets drunk, that walls fall. Like she lowers her and starts uh, just listening to people without realizing it. They pointed out how that this sort of happened early on in the early days of the campaign when they with her and Daria, not Daria. Oh, for the love of Dorian. Oh yes. Then next, the final question, and for this Tower Query session was if their characters were new cards in the deck of many things, what would they do? Oh, well, before we get into that, there's something points out. Actually, just put also like in addition to her thinking about the tail stuff, did mention that there was minor inspiration for Fern from a like Slavic or like that Scandinavian like folklore creature called a Scotch Scott, even she was got set mentioned. She's probably. I'm not gonna because for all we know, this is what the spelling was. What how she was just pronouncing it. She could be butchering it herself. Yeah. They mentioned more about that later on. And anyway, back to what they would do if they were decorating things cards. For Liam, Orm's card would cause you to go up 2 levels, and you be automatically your alignment would become neutral good. Uh, Laura's would be an interesting. She would have a. It'd be generally the good. As a, for what people online tell me, traditional decorating things, uh, it's half good, half bad. But the good usually has some caveat, like it happens, but you have to do a little something extra, which is why a lot of people don't like it. Like it's either something immediately goes wrong, or you do, or you have something goes right if you do a certain thing. Like the fact that the good doesn't aren't having like the bad stuff or this. And for Imogen, it would actually be go either way with her card. You roll a d20 and you would either be able to detect thoughts at will if you get 10 or above, or if you roll like below 10, like 9 and below. So you would just summon the storm and kill everyone around you, like instant, almost TPK, assuming your party's around you. And also, I was just thinking like, well, so like it's a half chance, like a good half chance bet, but no, now I think of it, technically there's actually a slightly better chance of being having good because it's 10 and above. So and from Marisha, Marisha says that Laudna's card would cause you just to become a living marionette. Well, and by living, I mean you're still conscious and stuff, but you can only do that if some person controls you. And this is an actual like wooden and stuff. And you'd be that for a hour and stuff. And Ashley says that Fern's card will allow you to instantly pickpocket something from everyone in the room. No saves, no stuff. You just automatically get something off of everyone. Now we get into the deep dives with the tankards. And like for Liam's first question, how is Orm handling the aftermath of the solstice? And the answer is not well. He kind of feels like an abject failure right now. Like not only did he fail to Salt Moon and stuff, but his the but Keyleth, the voice of the Tempest, actually arrived at the file and was immediately like dropped. Like for all he knows, he just failed to. The leader of his people just got killed, and he failed, and he could do nothing to protect her. And the initial a somewhat attempted assassination of Keyleth by them was 6 years ago. So, and he's been working towards this. It feels like last 6 years they've just been being pulled along, like being, lured, like all it was is them getting led into the trap. He's just right now very confused about what to do. Oh yes, Marisha has a question. The gallows scene where the haunted gallows scene, like before they actually arrive in Hearthdwell, seems tailor made to inspire nightmare fuel for Laudna, given that how she was hanged from the sun tree and stuff. I forget. Did they actually die by being hanged, or did they were they killed first and then hanged from the sun tree? I'm guessing they were actually hanged because it should be wrong. Apparently, for Richards described Love's reaction as, "I'll just put it away." Like this is not the first time they mentioned this is not the last time they mentioned this, but she's been compartmentalizing stuff and said, "I'll just technically like to feel it later." Like with all the other trauma stuff. Though Richard admits that as far as being nightmare fuel, Lana has seen worse. So you can't really actually induce nightmares in her. Oh, Ash, Ash's question about what it was like for Fern to reach out to the Wild Mother in Hope's room, and do you think the wind at the end was a sign? And, well, she mentioned how Fern has feel just lost without Orem there. Since Dorian left later on, he's the only crown keeper left in Belle's house, and he's her moral compass and anchored, like so what keeps her from going too off the rails. The only reason she really contacted the woman and stuff is that Orm, as sort of like a nature person and stuff, seems to have some loose connection. And for her, it was just a last ditch thing. The only thing she can do at that moment. She doesn't know if she believes if the gods will help or not, or they're good or stuff. So. And the wind. Uh, honestly, there's two things. They both seem to think it's just wind. Ash is thinking it's probably just wind. The could be something. And Fern, for her, she said, "Huh, must be a draft." She completely does not have no thought of it being a potential sign. Oh yes. Here's one. Here's a question I felt out. One second.
Fun one. How do you pick the thumbnails each week? What is the process like for that?
Oh, this is good to talk about.
Get to talk
Queen.
about.
That's great.
Oh gosh, it's a blast to choose a thumbnail. So I don't think we've ever talked about it. When we do the photo shoots for the thumbnails, we get basically every possible scenario.
Yeah.
And like when we did, I got a lot of people going, they must take a photo after every week, or what happens when we did the Laudna one where Sam was carrying you.
Yeah.
But no, we just knew that Sam was a healer and you were frail as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, if
100%.
anyone's
So they
gonna die,
did all
it's
these
gonna
at
be Laudna.
once.
Yep.
We got shots of
Like
carrying you.
in just a few sessions.
You
Like
also, I should throw in, run the photo shoots.
Yes.
Laura runs the photo shoots.
And does like all the like Photoshop retouching and yeah.
Yeah.
All of it.
A lot of the pictures that we took, luckily this last shoot we didn't have to do too much of it. Like once we did the costume changes and while we're like in like kind of loose costumes for it. But all the black stuff, like a lot of it had to be comped together, and a lot of stuff during COVID, like we shot individually, and then I would just Photoshop us together to make it look like all of us were in a picture together.
Like campaign
sometimes.
2 with all when you had to put all of us together.
Yeah.
And you know.
Yeah.
So we were all.
So there's a lot that it looks like maybe, I got a shot of, how did we get a shot of Matt looking at them in this way? But it's not. It's just a picture of Matt looking a weird way, and then it's a picture of us like, and it looks like he caught us being sneaky, but really,
You're just really good at it.
it's fun. I love photoshopping, so that's what I do. But then we send it over to Aaron, and he puts all the beautiful watercolor effects on it and everything. But I choose it based on like kind of how a big moment that I remember, or like a big moment that Danny you'll point out sometimes, and then I'll go like, I think this is going to be a thing for the episode. I don't want to give too much away, but also like I want to have a fun nod to the moment, or I'll pick one that has to do with like, we've had a good one of Ashley. She had a good moment last one, so I chose her, but then she also had a good moment this episode, but so I can't use her again because I don't want to use her twice, and I love choosing them. It's one of my favorite things. We keep talking about this. We have a lot on our plates, and I'm like, there's been several times it's like, well, maybe you shouldn't do the thumbnails anymore. I'm like, no, that's one of my favorite parts.
We all have those sayings that we've been doing since the beginning that we just won't let go of.
Yeah.
It's like, you sure? You should stop doing this. No!
No, it's mine.
But I love it.
I will do it forever.
It's true.
Shall we pull more?
Yeah.
Liam.
Another round?
I felt very much for it, because since I've been making these videos, whether it's the current, not so much now that I'm doing reacts and stuff, and it's all one video, but when I was doing recaps, when I was doing reacts, I was going through certain things, like, for instance, like, which characters, those, like, a lot of my thumbnails were, well, whenever there was combat, I would pick an image from the combat, usually maybe some more action shots and stuff, but also try to, even though I know it might spoil, I try to pick items where they have most going on to show you more of a preview of what's going to happen there. Though hopefully vague enough so you don't know what is. I go through with the face. Also, a lot of my things were like screens captured from the intros and sequence and stuff. And once I used a certain image from screen capture for a thumbnail, I would put it in use and not, so I wouldn't reuse one. It was more so using these when it was a reacts, because there were 2 parts and stuff, and usually there's just, if there's a combat, there's just 1 per episode, and it usually is just in 1/2. So like if I use an image for combat and not, I had to choose and stuff, and I don't want to have like the same. I think I've made once or twice it happen, but I generally try not to use the same person in the thumbnail more than not having like more in a row. Like once I retired that character for a while. Retired the player image. Also, I tried to figure out what that maybe catches, like images of them catching more of the mood of the episode. Like, is it chaotic? Is it scary? Or is it just epic shots? Yes. Now, the next question was, how does Liam feel about coincidence traveling with Derek's his friend Derek's ex? Is that he thinks it's more than coincidence. He doesn't think, not. It feels more like a fate thing for him. Like, as we said, Orm is not a worshiper. He sort of has a slight inkling toward the one mother because of the nature aesthetic, but he's not. He doesn't worship. But honestly, he'd get a lot better. But he'd feel more comfortable with the people of Harshadwell. I think if it was the fact that they weren't so more outspoken about their hatred of if not the gods and the worshippers, and he's just been faced off against a lot of an anti-god faction. So now to talk more about Lana's now they get to Marissa's question, which is talking about more about the Lana's carpenter compartmentalization. I remember at one point in my life I had the power of speech. What's going on in her mind with and will she is she too afraid to show I think she described it as one main thing of compartmentalization is yes, these things are figuring out stuff too, but my friends are also kind of freaking out too, and if I also share with them, they also know how my worries on top of their own. The only problem is she still sees her friends starting to get a little freaked and stuff, and so theirs is getting onto hers. She is in fact having a meltdown slowly and stuff, wondering if her friends are dead alive and whether or not they've just failed the campaign. Like it's like Ashley's question. Uh, oh yes, next word. It was to Ashley who was asked, "What's Fern think about Image's lightning marks in her dreams?" Fern was the one to wake up Imogen from her latest nightmare and stuff, and that was the most scared she's ever been. Like she knows that Imogen's dreams are more than just they can actually give information and stuff, but it can give them a clue whether or not their friends are alive or not. And so it's curious and it gives us, but it's also terrifying. Like last time she got information about a specific person, like from her dream stuff, it was specifically when people died. So she kind of wants to using her way of checking up friends, but also afraid that if she does get information from friends through Imogen's dream, it's not going to be good information. Also, the dreams do a bit of a number on Imogen, and she's afraid of losing one of her friends, and is actually pretty terrified about the lightning marks. She does not know what because it doesn't know exactly what they mean. Ashley herself has a few theories, and I think Fern does too. Has some of those, but she's not. She doesn't want to spoil anything. She should get anything right. Uh, um,
And she just doesn't know what to do with it. And I think it's just like, no, everything's gonna be okay. We're okay. We're okay. I'm just gonna keep putting the mask on. We're all fine, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you're fine, then I'm fine. You're not fine? Fuck.
We're talking about the game, right?
Yeah.
Yes, of course. Yeah. So that's that. Yeah, there's lots of layers to that.
Team compartmentalization. Weird thing to high five now that we've done it.
But it's also like if you compartmentalize or you do those things, you can't all of a sudden stop doing them.
Yeah, because
Like,
then
if you're used to it.
you will absolutely break, and then you don't know when.
It all will come flooding in.
Yes.
And you're just like,
Yeah.
who knows how long?
Yeah, you can't break the
before
dam.
that stops.
Well,
Yeah.
that's when you turn into a giant ball of white light and nuke a city block.
Okay. Next up is, I believe, talking about how Imogen's feelings about the failed sending spell at the start of the Wild Mount team. I believe her response is about that failed sending spell is just balls. She can still send people for those who are that far away, but and they mentioned how is basically they have an envelope. They have this spell that can allow them to do stuff, but it's being blocked. It's not working. So stuff. It's like nowadays, it's like there's a massive storm covering the entire U.S. I think they described it, and so and not to have internet and our phones, so you can't. So you have your phones, but they're just not working. You can't use it, get any information. You're not sure if the world has ended or not. You just feel cut off. You have this thing, but you're cut off anyway, even though you have it. Then they enter a speed round, as it's called. Or a sadness round, because a lot of the questions are getting are kind of hitting deep. Uh, talk about lastly, what was it like to convince the flame guy Kiro to leave town? How last they checked off, at the point they lost him, he just initiated a battle with the phrase "That's unfortunate." He feels like one way of these. The reason why he chose that particular cover is because that's what it feels like. This is unfortunate. Like he doesn't actually want to do it, but he feels like they have a goal of reuniting with the rest and helping the people of this town get rid of the temple is what it takes and stuff. So he doesn't want to do it, but yeah, but he feels like he has to get the job done. So it's just unfortunate for him. He knew they weren't going to get around squeaking the thing and stuff, but felt he had to try to at least get him to leave peacefully. They talk about Marisha having and Lana for Marisha's next question. They talk about having a specific line about everyone just stop killing in the name of the gods, whether it's for or against them. And that basically it basically sums up the general attitude of Bell's house and a lot of the guest characters. Like they're not in favor of the gods stuff, too, but just they're mostly like let's focus on our working bettering ourselves right now and stuff. stuff. Oh, and the previous question, Liam did mention like Orm sort of has a candy coating and stuff, and it's cracking. Fair stuff. Yes, Ashley's next question is how is it getting to use Fern's speak with animal spell in the last few sessions? What's the follow up? For her, it's not really a big deal. It's just something she could do and stuff. For Ashley, it's like this is what I want to do, be able to do in real life. Like this is a dream come true. Like for Ashley, like if she could, she do this in real life. She would. Fern, she'd probably even if she didn't have the spell, she'd probably just doing the same thing, just not expecting an answer. And lastly, for this deep dive, we have what. Uh, uh, the last thing is like Laura, like what, like ask what does Imogen think would happen if she chose to let go and being pulled by the red light of Rudis. She's tempted. Like this sort of slightly happened like before when she was just having dreams of a red storm. She decided not to phrase it at one and fate and stuff happened. In her, but she's mentioned how she's in her dreams she's tempted to go to life, but when she wakes up she's far less tempted there because she's around her friends and she doesn't want to lose them. Then we get to the got to another Tower of Inquiry section. Next one they go for a low thing number where they really pick and like a low blow, and it's number two. Basically, how did they come up with their character? What led to the design? They've and so for some of them we've already know some like they've already talked about this in past stuff like who and even uh Ashley mentioned how one of her inspirations was that Scandinavian folklore creature. Yeah, Marissa points out she had mentioned like the main inspiration for Laudna was a nightmare she had of the spooky flower girl with no jaw and black void eyes and old Victorian clothes, who was standing that suddenly runs at her. And she woke up and said, "Okay, that's a good idea." Laura also had a for Imogen had a nightmare based iteration where had a where Laura had a dream of a storm and specifically a tornado coming at her, and it was a living tornado coming. Supposedly that's not an uncommon dream for people to have, and there's a more deeper meaning for that. And also, there's a real world inspiration for is that she has sometimes a problem with too much audio stimuli and stuff like, which is expressed through images like having to block out other people's thoughts, like just walking around other people. inadvertently can detect thoughts and stuff, and it can overwhelm her. There, for Liam, it's like he likes the concept of the halfling and stuff. Also mentioned how Orm may have been one of the concepts for his backer carrier in the Vox Machina campaign. Should that Vax had died, like and stayed dead, like and not just at the end, and how he didn't want it just to be someone who just showed up to and enjoy the group. Him having a purpose in joining specific Vox Machina with and thought perhaps like if Keelof had lost Vax, like, and they had more campaign to do, he had he basically figured that her father would have tried to send someone to not just to go not only guard her, but seriously to help her get through this. And thought like maybe a widower said, "I don't know who this is, but I've been here before." He kept the. I think you could. I think. I think Derek was maybe also like. I guess this concept may have also once been inspired Derek for. Like he why what's his new character doing there? And he basically kept it for campaign and he wanted someone to who was like the he just last campaign was Caleb, and he wants someone who was the opposite, like very kind and caring. Like Caleb was kind of cold, distant, like and stuff, and very introverted. Uh, the Swedish Norway, as we said before, Ashley's was had that Swedish Norwegian folktale. And also, she wanted to make this weird version, which was sort of like a fusion of Disney princess and Disney villain with no morality. Like she's not evil. She is very much a chaotic neutral character. And she draw some inspiration growing up with her mom. I don't know what that it's about. And from Joan Cusack from Alexander Values. Was that an actress or like a character? I forget. Been a while since I've seen that movie. I only remember like Wednesday creating an uprising stuff. Fester having a fiance who was trying to murder the family with and got an electric chair. Um, anyway, here's something. Bell's throws a surprise party for one of their friends. They are asked what does each member do, and they even go to the characters not there. Uh, I have my own thoughts. I didn't. Lana, and this is what both. She said. Person said, odd enough, this is what Lana do, and this is immediately what I thought she'd do too. She'd be the decorator and stuff. I didn't really figure out what I would have Imogen to do, but Laura said as that she'd have Imogen help with decorations, specifically hanging up some of the ones up high because she has the telekinesis and stuff. Liam would have order like get like 100 pies for it, though may eat a lot. Mhm. uh, Personally, I would have my I think he should Orm would be the best to get the person to get to the party without revealing to them. One, if only because he's the last person you expect to be doing anything sneaky out of the group. F.C.G would bake the cake because he's now part Easy Bake Oven. I didn't, which makes sense to me. I didn't think of what I wasn't thinking about what some of the others would be doing. Weren't they? But just thinking of there. Fern said it would. Ashley said Fern would take care of the actual surprise part and scaring, and that was one of the things I did think for her, like, be a good thing. The other being, what else did I think she would? Well, what was the other thing I thought she would? I know I thought of something else that Fern could do. Oh yes, I actually originally put her for getting certain provisions for the party, like food and stuff, or so, because I think she'd just go out and steal them. That's what her plan for getting. Though actually scaring her the game of gift. Chetney would be carving out like the place setting statues and stuff like there. I kind of have to like for me, I sort of thought he was using his carving, but specifically, I thought he'd be actually making the gifts. Dorian, who I completely forgot about because he's been his group, would provide music, and they said Ashton would do the lights, being a living disco ball with his work. Personally, when I thought what Ashton would do, I thought he'd be the one who'd be getting all the booze. So I'm surprised no one thought about that. Like, who gets those? Who else will make sure they get passed out drunk? Oh yes, another. I don't have any marks of this one. Oh, they did. Oh, before they get to that, something. Someone point out that something they forgot to mention was Fern Chetney finally seeming to maybe getting to it with Deanna and stuff like. They're asking, do you think Fern actually joined in, or she was just like commenting, giving suggestions? And we do have asked, do you think Fern actually did join in? And Ashley said absolutely. So the threesome is confirmed. Then they get into what the decision making process for choosing to multi-class or not. Oh, and what to multi-class them is that is it based on like the current story, what's going on, or role play, or just spur of the moment? And it's a little bit of all for them. Like they mentioned, like for Vex, like for Rogue, like she would want to be a rogue because she does sneak into, and also she has the opportunity to learn from Vax. Oh, they mentioned how Denise is a rogue warrior, which is a very good subclass. rage and stuff. They also mentioned how like certain classes like well, like their higher level abilities aren't that great as well. Like Laura specifically mentioned, like ranger abilities as you get higher up don't really impress much others. So of course she's going to multi-class for Vex. And stuff. Uh, Liam said like because of the more high level abilities and spells of the wizard, he was always knew he was gonna go wizard all the way for Caleb. Uh, Lana like the backstory and like who the character was what decided the multi-class. So her reason why if like for multi-class is a rogue is she's just like stealing. Oh, you mentioned how with Fern being Fern technically, while Wild Shape would because it's a class leader, Fern would still get sneak out while Wild Shape. So yeah, she could just she could literally only get it as an animal and stuff, and which would be interesting because you know the type she doesn't go for like cool animal stuff. She likes to go with weird animals for her wild shapes. I myself like to do more. Like, I haven't played D&D yet, but I do have a lot of test characters on D Beyond, and I like to do like multi-class combos and stuff. My first one would actually was like seeing how well like a a well my first test character was Solera was a half elven blade singer wizard, but with a like multi-class into Profane Soul Bloodhunter, specifically the Hexblade, for nice vibe and stuff. Also because like as a like was it level I think level 6 or 7 bit of that you can cast you can when you cast use an action you can cast a cantrip. You could then use your make a melee attack with your bonus action on as a blade singer. You have two attacks, but one of those attacks you can make into a cantrip. So I thought I could use one of the cantrip that and trigger the profane souls ability. I have asked like online with people around, and many people pointed like rules is written. This technically wouldn't work because technically you're not using your action to cast a cantrip. It's part of your action, but you're actually using your action to for the attack action. It's just your feature allows one of those attacks to be a cantrip. So it could still technically work if you talk to your DM about it, like if they approve. But rules is written, no go. Yeah, I'm saving her this character Slayer, but like if I ever want to play, if it's like specifically set during the Exandria Calamity era, due to something in her backstory, because I went full out while making this. Oh, about the ranger stuff at higher level, I understand that. My most recent thing, like I keep actually have a free one of the characters actually named Freener Reunimentia on there, and I basically keep him the same level as the party. Like if I actually suddenly play with them, like he's the one I'd be playing with, and he's right now Drake Warden Ranger and Artillerist Artificer. When I did a roll for stats, I was determined to roll once and just go with stats, and end up rolling really well. Like highest was a 17. And lowest thing I rolled was a 12. And I put that in charisma, which and my character is an and the character Freenair is Asmar, so he gets +2 to his charisma. So like he has a 3-way tie for low stats at 14. He could literally multi-class into any class right now. I play him more as well-rounded and kind of the he's primarily a range fighter with bow, but he could still go into playing that stuff. Prefers more hit and run tactics and stuff, and using creative means. Specifically has a cloak of many fashions because it can replicate any look of clothes and stuff. Just can't do like specific other magical abilities. I mean, as long as it's non-magical, it can work. Which means camo patterns and ghillie suits are technically within its range of appearing. Which is specifically why I chose it. Then it goes to the break after a few ads, all which we've seen. We get into their actual game playing there, with the game being the sort of like not quite board game, but it's like a sort of picture anything monstrosity. In this game, one person picks it. One person like picks a card and stuff and has like 2 minutes or stuff to examine a picture of a monster and stuff they had drawn. Remember this, then puts it down and tried from memory describing the creature. The other ones tried to use sketch on this whiteboard thing, what they think the creature they're describing looks like. At the end, they all the describer examines them and silently picks who they want, and then the others vote about who they think they want, but they can't vote for themselves as part per rules to make sure they're not just like doing it just to win. They have to vote for someone else. The one who gets the most votes on the picture wins. However, if everyone picks a certain picture except for the person who actually did that picture because they cannot vote for themselves, then if that one person gets all the votes they can, and the person who votes and the person who is describing the monster actually had picked them as the winner. If they get it right, they also get a point along with the person who got the most votes. And they're also supposed to ask more questions of from the takers and stuff or the answered stuff, but it takes a while for them to remember. And I won't just go over them describing all 6. I'll just show you what they was described, and what the people came up with. It should be. Oh, okay. Here's the first one. I think this was I think Liam was describing this one, and here's what the others came up with. I think that was Laura's. Uh, Ashley's and Marsha ended up winning. Then they have this weird thing was described there. Interesting enough, they described one thing they described is they for all these Laura's there and there. If you look closer, they all have these bristlings because you described them having burst, but then as they're looking on, like trying to judge it, you realize, wait, those are gills. I described gills as I was like, and yes, those things in the middle are supposed to be like he described it as sagging breasts, but everybody else there. They said player number 4 wins. I don't know which one's player 4. Uh, uh, then they actually start getting to remember they're supposed to do questions and stuff like. And one of the scars they talked about what was Mercer's experience with Creator Clash, and said she was great. What her tough experience of life. She still practices boxing just to get in because she got into it. Her real goal was just to last 5 rounds and stuff. I actually have not seen this yet, so supposedly she was able to hang in there. I also indicating that I don't think she won, but she was at least able to last out a while. And then we get to this. I forget who this is. There's or stuff. The options. I think this one was Laura's, and this was Liam's. I think Liam won this. I have written down. Okay, then they have another question for Laura. For which is what is Image's most focused right now? She has watched her mother get joined the enemy and stuff, seemingly, and she's not part of it. What's the most person? It's just getting back to everyone like Ho and Lana. Basically, right now, everyone agrees the group. The big focus is getting the gang back together. And then they had a question for Liam about Lorm about Orm's seeming to develop a relationship with the Wild Mother, having been blessed by her with the Crown Keepers. So like, I guess he prayed for her, and then getting sealing. How he feels about all this anti gods stuff, and where's going? And Liam points out that Orm is super biased right now. He's not really thinking about whether or not the gods should be removed or not. He just knows that the people trying to get rid of the gods, they killed his husband, his father-in-law, and stuff. They nearly killed. They may have actually killed, and all the other things that the anti-god faction has been doing. He also feels like some of the gods do have earned some respect and stuff for him. Like the Wild Mother has done some things, has helped him out a little bit. There, there. Uh, and then they get into what was supposed to be a tiebreaker because everyone was tied and stuff. It was a three-way tie between in the game monster of Liam, Ashley, and Marissa. And they thought like instead of having Laura do it to make the tiebreaker, they had Danny do it. For an interesting thing that Laura could win and technically make it a four-way tie, and they could see what goes there. And this is what Danny's description was, and I did feel like she had a little bit lacking. Like she described her as like spiral-like and stuff, and she did mention how it was like it's a word that that Matt keeps using to describe certain monsters that be insect-like, it means like they have like segmenting bodies, and she described it as spider-like, but I'm only counting like 6 limbs, which makes it more insectoid for me and stuff. They mentioned his tongue and stuff, and Laura did win this. Mm-hmm. Uh, mhm. This, uh, this okay. This is Ashley's. I think that was Liam's. Marsha's and oh oh wait, no wait. This was the one before. This wasn't Danny's one. Sorry. Okay, they had this one before. Then they had the supposedly tiebreaker or tie maker, and this was what. Well, some whoever described one described it as spiral like. I think this was Danny's. Like it was the final one. Anyway, Laura ended up winning. Mm-hmm. And stuff. And then there was also this final bit with where they had like know how they had the scavenger for like the prompts for Ashley. The last one was hidden in a pill, which got wrecked in default to going through it. It described its stuff. And described like the outro being be basically romantically cleaning with Mappo, and she just basically while the end player she just dancing around stuff. Ironically, not doing any cleaning when during an episode where there's actually some real cleaning to be done. Thanks to that there's like when like last time they had to do actual cleaning with for this. It was like the Christmas one where they had to get rid of all the wrapping papers, and they actually did clean. This one it was just her dancing really with the mop, like the like the mop head upward, and so no actually cleaning got done. Then they actually showed them one last image, which was this reminded them of the Nonagon, Lucian's like final form. Then they had a little animation where all like the abs and stuff, it starts talking and stuff, and has this ghastly proclamation: Broomy lives. With Broomy sort of coming out of the gap in the mouth where it's talking from, as a we already knew that we saw that last thing, so not sure where they're gonna go with that. And with that, the only thing left is for introduce my homebrew. The Oracle Asmar. This is my homebrew Oracle sub race. As my sub race. Unlike the other ones, which always do have like as their main effect is something, and plus it all like once per turn they can give extra damage. Like I think it's like of their proficiency in the most recent like debuffed like nerf version of the Asmar, and the original is like you could add extra like certain damage like for the protector and the scourge extra radiant damage equal to either your proficiency or your level, depending on what like so. Well, it's the crack damage for fallen. This one does not give you any damage buffs, though it does have a bit of it. Instead, when it enters its divine soul thing or its power, it summons the fourth the revelation mist, based on sort of like the mist like which is of like actual oracles in ancient Greeks, which modern historians think was like what promoted hallucinations, which they took for visions. Like this thing actually do. Ah, here's my little thing about description. The Oracle Asbar are agents of truth. They can reveal the hidden secrets and schemes. Their mere presence enlighten those who seek knowledge through the weave. Basically, their manifestation, like when I actually originally tried making this a while ago, when they only had the legacy as the only Asmar. And so, in which each subclass of Asmar also gave a 1 point score increase to a certain score. So, like the Protector Asmar, which I kind of used as the base, this one also gives you a +1 to Wisdom. If you're using more like the newer Asmar things, just ignore that. But here's like it's man. But basically, starting at level 3, as an action, you can use the divine energy within you, and unleash this mild luminous mist, which appears around you in a sort of lightly swirls around you in a 10-foot radius. Within that radius, this mist lasts for 1 minute, or until you end it with a bonus action. While it manifests, the mist bestows to whatever you choose within the properties of detect magic, like the mist will suddenly start glowing brighter in a different color around magical items and stuff, and perhaps even give you more insight depending on how your DM wants to play it. And it also gives the properties of fairy fire, like to those around you, and it like things that do not benefit from invisibility unless you choose to let the mist there. And also, you gain advantage on attack rolls against those targets. So it gives you a aid in combat, but not a damage boost. It also has it, also anyone in the mist who casts divination based magic, like leveled based, no cantrips and stuff. For them, you anything higher than anything level 2 or higher. It does not work with level 1 divination spells. You can cast the spell at using a spell slot 1 less than the level required. Same goes when you upcast. To like say Hunter's Mark. You can get the extended duration of like 8 hours instead of 1 hours from a level 2 spell, despite requiring a level 3 or 4 level slot for that in the description. And once you use this feature, you cannot use it again until you finish a long rest. This seems more potent because of the also addition to having a make it easier to use divination magic. However, most divination it also is a way to balance it because most divination magic advantage is a good thing to have a balance of, but all times information more. But you'll use the information and divination magic more outside of combat, so you gotta choose whether or not you want to use this to gain information or to assist you in combat. So it's kind of like the choice sort of helps balance it. And now all I can say is thank you for joining me. This is F.R.I.D.A Redementia, the unseen F.R.I.D.A Redementia. I wish thee good fortune on the quest of life. My God, this episode's almost getting pretty close to the length of the actual